Yeah. How y'all doing? Y'all high? Y'all still with me? Yeah, we good? All right. My name's Adam Hill, the highest host. I've been consuming cannabis more than half my life. I love flower, but when hash, I used to smoke regular water hash, but then hash kind of evolved in like the 2910 era with the average consumer, and we all started dabbing, and it was amber wax or ear wax or BHO. It was, if it didn't shatter, it didn't matter. There were all these red means go. We had all these catchphrases, and there was a whole culture being built, and this culture started with everyone just consuming hash. So it was like 710 was a new 420, and no one knew what 710 was. And there was a guy in Utah who loved hash. He loved rapping first, but he found hash and discovered hash and wanted to innovate and change the way we consumed it to make it better for all of us. And I don't know if you're familiar with Highly Educated. It's an American-made company. They've kind of innovated the nail, the banger, the gavel. They invented the infinity nail. They've invented, they had the e-nail, pioneering the e-nail, the carb cap, a whole bunch of, we're going to get into all of these things on this panel right now. We got the legend Task Rock in the building. Make some noise for Task Rock. He deserves it all. I know he's real humble, but I love this guy, and I appreciate you being here. Task. Yeah.
How's it going?
I saw you over there like, bro, stop. I'm like, bro, you have done so much for the industry. I don't think people really understand.
Yeah, I don't see it that way, but I guess some people see it that way.
That's because you're the most humble dude, and you've never done any interviews or talked about it, and I'm very fortunate and grateful that they gave me the chance to do this with you being here. But before we start, I see a lot of people smoking and dabbing. What are you consuming right now?
Currently I'm smoking on some Satsuma Sherba and some Starburst 36 from my homie at Oak Tree Orchards.
Okay.
Those are my two flavors right now.
And what's your go-to like method? Are you like a control tower?
Yes,
or a
so we've been doing this for 15 years, inventing and trying to innovate the ways to take the dabbing temperature from the 1,000 temp degrees that we used to hit.
Listen, 1130, that's my number, bro. 1130, hot and hardy.
Bringing it down to about 450 with the control tower now, or 515 to 450, somewhere in that range. And it really provides, the most efficient experience I can get because I'm vaporizing all of it. I'm not burning any of it, and I'm not getting a puddle left behind. So the control tower is the way that I use. Yeah.
But it took us a while to get there.
Yeah, it wasn't overnight for sure. No, we used to heat the nail up super hot. We didn't know, what a carb cap was or anything. So in order to get your whole dab to, vaporize within the time of your breath, you had to have it at an extremely hot temperature, and so everybody was hitting it way hot.
We loved it,
and that's kind of back in the day, titanium was the more popular because of its durability, and people were hitting it at such hot degrees you couldn't really distinguish a flavor difference between materials. I mean, people would argue about it, but when you're hitting it at 1,000+ degrees, what are you really arguing about?
Yeah, it's not even vaping. Because hash has evolved. We're all known for the water hash, that like Moroccan, the Middle Eastern style, that dark. And then it started evolving, and we started getting like real smart people extracting it, using different, extract methods to create it. And we went through so many consistencies. And we used to like heat up the knife or get like a safety pin and put a hash ball on it. The people were chasing the dragon with the little stir on. I see you. He's like, hell yeah, I remember those days. Yeah, like it's evolved, and now it's like a whole setup. It's like a whole process to dab. You got your dab mat with your dab rig and your banger basket full of alcohol with a dab towel, and you got your rig, and you got a torch, and you need the safety on the torch so you don't burn yourself. There's like so many accessories.
It's almost sacred in a way. Yeah, it's almost like you got to take your shoes off. You got to,
It's been a process, but you've been a pioneer and an innovator in this space and helped us change the way we consume. What was it about? Like, how did you get into that? Because I know you were a rapper. How did you get into? You did music first, right?
Yeah. Well, so I got into cannabis just by selling weed. As a kid, I was selling weed. It's where I learned how to run a business, manage inventory. Yeah, in Utah.
Damn, you got balls, bro.
I had 2 Grand Theft Auto charges by the age of 10, so I was kind of a little bit of a hellion.
What are you doing in Utah, bro?
I ran with the wrong crowd, bunch of Mormons. Um,
Chilled.
so I gotten into cannabis, by selling weed, and then I one day I saw a video on YouTube about hash and BHO and how they were taking a dab. And it seemed like the cleanest process, the cleanest way for me to get high compared to burning weed and combusting it and inhaling a smoke.
Right.
And so I was very intrigued. I didn't have access to any hash, and so the first hash that I smoked was hash that I made. I've learned the process. I took some of the weed that I was selling. I stuffed it in a tube, and
was it a PVC or a glass?
No, it was glass.
Okay,
it was glass.
I remember the PVC days. If y'all don't know, when people used to extract hash in their backyards, they used to go to Home Depot, get like a PVC pipe, filter it with coffee filter, rubber band, just like put like a lighter fluid through a little plastic and extract all the hash, and we would get this like sappy extract that we thought was delicious, and they would give us fireworks shows because it was under purge and they would be red hot, and we were just making our lungs professionals back then.
Yeah,
training.
And so the utensils of the day were the swing, the vapor swing,
the HMK,
right, and the oil dome. Those were the two competing factions at the time. It was kind of like what was going to be the reigning supreme thing, and it ended up being the oil dome.
Now, when you say oil dome, because a lot of people don't know what a dome is. So
okay, let's take it back then.
Yeah.
So how do we explain this?
So the way it used to be is just picture your average bong with the down stem. You would put like a piece of metal in there that kind of looked like a nail.
So it was.
So
that's where
like
the term nail comes from, because it used to look like
an actual nail.
Yeah.
And then you would heat that surface until it was glowing red. And then what you would do is you would take this glass piece and cover it, which we called the dome or the globe, or there was many terms because it was still new. And then you would take your hash on like a little paper clip or dental tool or whatever the hell we were using at the time, and you would put it on the hot nail, and the dome would stop all the splatter, and you would just inhale it, and it would come through your bong.
And that's the reason why the dome ended up winning, because with the swing, it's an open vaporized system. You can't close it off. You can't choke it. You can't carb it. And with the dome, you're able to put your finger over the top of it.
Yeah,
control it. And that was able to, give you a lower temperature successful hit. And that kind of was the inspiration.
That's how we learned about the carb cap.
Going into the carb cap.
It was like a pipe, but instead you're doing a dome.
Right, because in order to get it off the dome seemed like it was a little tedious. You'd have to take it off. You'd have to heat the nail. You'd have to put it on. It would leave little rings
oil rings
everywhere.
on your table, on your clothes.
And so we were like,
so messy.
We figured out, a way to get rid of the dome by coming out with the domeless nail.
Now, were you the first to do the domeless nail?
I was not the first to do the domeless nail.
You did the best.
I think the KO domeless nail was the first one. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I remember them. I remember the KO domeless.
But
that was like a ceramic titanium mix.
Correct. We were the first ones to do like the direct inject one, because theirs would go into a female piece, and ours would go over the male joints, which were the popular ones at the time. And then we also came up with the multi-joint compatibility, so that you could use one nail on all your different pieces.
Is that the infinity nail?
That's the infinity, but it's also the duality, the trinity. Yeah. We had a lot of different models.
Which is a great invention for the consumer, but for the business, it was not the smartest, because it was durable, it was lifelong, nothing could happen to it.
We never make decisions upon what's good for the business. We always make decisions on what's good for the customer.
That thing, because once you buy one, you don't need any anymore.
With the titanium, that could be seen as true, but as you use it, if you use it for years, it's gonna oxidize, it's gonna degrade, it's gonna lose its heat retention abilities, and so you definitely need to replace it over time. But quartz is actually more durable in that regard.
Really?
For degradation. Not durable if you're dropping it,
If you drop
it,
it's done, but for longevity.
Exactly. If you take proper care of it.
Which everyone seems like they're educated now, because dabbing 10 years ago is not like it is dabbing now.
Correct.
Especially with the hash and the axis of hash we have right now.
Correct.
What's up with BHO? You like BHO? Butane hash oil. For those that don't know what BHO is, butane hash oil. It's when you use butane to extract the cannabis.
So back in the day, the butane hash oil seemed really fire.
We loved it.
Like it was where we came from. I pay respects to where we came from, and also it seems like the people who focused on quality, that's what they were producing as well. But as trends change. You know, people who are following the trends also tend to be the ones who are focused on the quality. And so, you know, the and I hate to say it, but the BHO I've been coming across lately just hasn't been.
It's not the same.
It's not the same as what it was back in like 2014, 2012.
You think it's because of more people growing for rosin and they're not really...
I do think that, but that would be an uneducated opinion. So
I think what happened with BHO, because everyone was Love It, Shatter, Don't Matter, like it was a whole craze, when CRC started getting involved, the color remediation, when they used to lighten it and they would make dark hash look white and amazing and it tasted like fish oil. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. We're real dabbers over here, Doc.
Yeah. No comment.
So rosin is the way for you.
Yeah, currently.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely a little more potent, but it feels like it's cleaner. It feels like it's generally tastier, and flavor is usually 90% of what I'm chasing.
I understand, because like when did you drop this 710 movement album? When was that? Like 12 years ago?
2011 is when I want to say
13,
it was.
a whole bar mitzvah ago.
Yeah.
You dropped this.
So the 710 story, I want to, you know, I get credit way too often for the 710 stuff.
Break it down.
I would like to give credit to the people who were actually there, though.
So when we say 710, we all know 420 is for flower. It's like the OG one. That's what we all say for weed. And when hash started becoming popularized, especially with social media and all these forums, they wanted a community wanted to separate from like the general 420 and create their own number.
That's correct.
And here, I'll let you elaborate on what happened.
So back in 2010, there weren't a whole lot of concentrate accessory companies. Two of the main ones were myself, highly educated, and my friend Chad from Healthstone Glass. He made the Healthstone hand pipes, and it was another way.
It was like the lava rock.
Correct.
Yeah.
It was another method of consuming hash. And you'd think we wouldn't be friends because we're competitors, but we ended up meeting online, becoming digital acquaintances, and then we'd link up in these tiny chat sessions to smoke hash with each other.
Old Zoom.
Yeah, it was like the Zoom for you Gen Zers.
Yeah.
And one day it was Chad from Healthstone Glass. He was like, you know, I don't really feel connected to 420 anymore. It's like, we're not smoking flower. We're only smoking hash. He's like, we need a new time. And just like me, I'm kind of a right-brained individual. I'm always writing. I'm always like trying to create stuff. So immediately I was just like, 710. It's got to be 710. And some people were like trying to compete. They're like, no, let's do 840 because 840 upside down is BHO, and it's 420 plus 420 is 840.
Oh yeah.
So there was like
y'all are smart.
There was like a little competition between the 840 and the 710. But we decided to roll with that. So it was me, Chad from Healthstone Glass, a dude named Rudy from Beehive Oil Clothing, his buddy Josh from Beehive Oil Clothing. Buddha Cheese, his real name's Taylor, Paul Garcia, Baby Kush, if you know who that is. These were all people who were there in the moment when we decided, you know, we're gonna do this movement from 420 to 710. They started making T-shirts to kind of promote the idea. That said like 710 the movement, had like an oil can on it. Me and Linus, you know, we make music, and so we decided we were going to make a hip-hop album kind of dedicated to hash songs and stuff like that. We named it 710 the Move. We put it out on July 10th, and that was kind of just
which is 710.
Which is 710. So that was kind of the first introduction of us pushing it into the culture, and it just snowballed
Picked
from
up.
there and grew into something that we never really intended it to grow
now
into.
There's holidays for it. There's companies named after it.
Yeah.
It's a good thing it wasn't 840 because that wouldn't have lasted long with BHO, and there's no date
Yeah,
on 840.
yeah, trends change really quick, don't they?
Yeah, and then like this is 13 years ago, and you're doing songs like about hitting the nail and how hot the nail should be, and rapping about shatter.
Let's put another dab on that titanium pad, and I'll be screaming gibberish like an Iranian mad. Too many BHO hits can hurt my cranium bad, but I'ma boil more oil than the Arabians have.
Hey! Bars, dude. Any of y'all dabbed 13 years ago? Yeah, like 3 people. Hell yeah, I love it.
Hell
dude.
yeah.
So you started the 710 movement. That started blowing up. and was highly educated formed during that while it happened? Why wouldn't you have 710 in your like?
I was already doing highly educated by the time we decided to switch to 710. Yeah, highly educated actually started a year prior in 2010. It started because the glass nails inside the dome. You heat them up, you take the dab on it, they'd break because they'd suffer from thermal stress.
Lost a lot of clothes
and so
skin.
that's where my company came in to kind of fill the void, is because you had the titanium on the pad, you had the glass nail in the dome. They were fighting for dominance, and we took we kind of made it the best of both worlds by making the titanium nail. So it was more durable.
And also, you guys were using all American-made products. You guys didn't source anything.
Yes, we've been American-made since the jump.
Since you never like outsourced, went to China for anything.
No, all of our stuff's been made in Utah.
And has that been an issue with you and your company?
I don't really advertise that a whole lot. It's not like something.
You don't advertise a lot. You're a chill ass dude.
Yeah, I don't advertise a lot in general. You got a good point, but we don't make it a point to let people know that we're from there. I mean, it's fine now, but back in 2010, it was a little more.
Yeah, it was competition because you're selling quality products for American made. Well,
I mean from the paraphernalia aspect too, because we're still coming from Operation Pipe Dreams, and still some concern over being charged for just manufacturing paraphernalia. Yeah,
that's crazy. All right, well, let me ask this: is all titanium the same?
No, it comes in different grades.
Okay, so there's different grades of titanium.
Yeah, there's different grades.
And some grades aren't probably healthy to heat up.
The grades are determined depending on the purity. So grade 1's going to be your most pure. Grade 2 will be slightly less pure than 1, but it's more readily available. It's easier to come by. It's a lot cheaper. And then, once you move into the grades beyond that, you start moving into alloy materials like steel, vanadium, aluminum get introduced into the material with it to make it harder. Because pure titanium is actually soft and sort of ductile.
Did you think you would ever know so much about metals growing up?
No, everything that I've learned about science has been thanks to fucking
because of weed.
Dabbing, yeah.
What?
There's been a lot I've learned thanks to dabbing, but there's been a lot I've forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're out here in the forefront of the whole 710 movement. Had an album, was in the chat room, creating this whole counterculture within the cannabis community.
Right.
And you were never one to promote yourself or what you do. It's always been about the brand. And it's always been about the product, and it's never,
it's the product and the functionality
Jason.
And the word of mouth. My goal is to make a product that's good enough that you're going to share it with your friends, and they're like, "Whoa, what's that? I need one of those." And in that aspect, I don't have to advertise. If I have a product that's good enough, then it should be able to sell itself. So typically, most of the money that I spend is going to be on research and development and trying to figure out what's going to be the next thing in order to give you that lower temperature, because that's what we've been working on for years, right? We started at 1,000 degrees. We did the invention of the e-nail. Well, we can touch on that.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that too. E-nail, dude. How many of y'all using e-nail or a portable? Yeah, everyone's putting their. You guys pioneered that.
Yeah. So any idiot can have an idea, right? You're like, oh, a jetpack that goes to the moon and makes me breakfast, But it takes an engineer. Fire. It takes an engineer to actually build that shit. And I was lucky enough to have some very smart individuals around me. One specifically, my buddy Dave, who was the machinist at the machine shop making the titanium nails. He's a real left brain individual. He thinks in numbers and in JavaScript code and stuff like that. And so I told him the idea, and he helped me, materialize it and turn it into a real product. And so we were building it in his apartment. We only made 100 units on our first batch, and then 150 units on the second batch. They were all, assembled by hand under the purview of his pets.
Y'all made each one.
Yeah.
Were there a bunch that you made? You're like, nah, I don't want this shit. Throw it out.
No.
No, they were all
Yeah, they're all good. When you make something by hand, it's only going to be judged on its own merit. And so you got to make sure that you're making that shit good.
So you're creating accessories. Let me know some of the innovations that Highly Educated has brought. Like I know we talk about a lot of.
All right, so we had one of the first titanium nails.
The first titanium maker.
One of the first titanium nails. Then we had the first adjustable titanium nails.
Was that 14, 18?
It was the spinning things because the dome heights. The dome heights were an issue. So we had adjustable nails that could go up and down and accommodate for the dome height. We were the first to introduce the concept of multiple joint compatibility, as well as the E-nail on the domeless. We brought out the carb cap, which was another significant innovation. Yeah, game changer. You can't take a low temp dab today without a carb cap.
Hell no.
And the first carb cap on the market was the one that we put out, and we called it the carb cap. So. And
what was the first carb cap? What did it look like?
It was titanium. It looks kind of like a candle snuffer because, that's like what we needed. We were like, back when we had the domeless nail, we realized that if you blew on it, when there was still leftover oil inside of it, a cloud of vapor would just be produced off of it. And so we're like, we need something that's just going to cover that, has like a little mouse hole on the side, so that it just forces the air and does the blowing for us,
right.
And we can capture it with the cap.
What?
And so we tried it, and the first time we did it, it was mind-blowing, literally mind-blowing.
And then this is how it kind of evolved to lower temp dabs.
Yeah, you cannot take a low temp dab today if you don't have a carb cap. Yeah. It's an integral part of the process.
What? Yeah. How do you feel being a part of that for this culture? Because everyone who dabs uses a carb cap. What do you think was something that you innovated?
Bittersweet sometimes, because it's like you're happy to have contributed to the culture, to the pantheon of dabbing history, but also a little bitter in the aspect where you're like, God, I should have patented that or something. You know what I mean?
I mean, and I know it's unfortunate, but you've had to deal with people who copied your design, and I know even it's just
part of success. If you're gonna have a successful product, you're definitely gonna have people coming at you, trying to knock you off, trying to counterfeit you. You got it. If you have enough money and you're making enough money off the product and you can afford to enforce and you have IP to enforce on, then great. But for most people, we're not making millions of dollars on our products. And so going through the effort of filing for a utility patent, getting that patent rewarded, and then spending the subsequent finances to go and enforce it. Yeah. Not only that, but when you do that in this community, it tends to build a little bit of bad will. So it's kind of a PR thing as well.
You were never at the point you never felt like, yo, we are the one, because you guys get no flowers for what you've contributed to this whole industry. You are a legend.
What are you talking about? We're here right now.
Yeah,
at the Hall of Flowers, getting the flowers.
But listen, some people are so thirsty for just the light, and you've been a integral part of this community for 13 fucking years. And I did some research. There's no interviews with you. You're not out here talking. There's maybe a glass blurb about you and what you've done, but there's no Task Rock letting people know your side of the story. So it's just crazy to hear, and all the shit you've been through, and you're still out here staying relevant and competing with all these.
Still just working my own booth.
At your booth, behind
folding the T-shirts, yeah.
And is that how has it been for you to stay relevant in this? Because I know when we were doing this, from a long time ago, don't even matter. It was more of a community. We were starting the culture,
right?
And then they kind of, with legalization, it kind of turned into an industry, and there was more corporate and egos.
Right.
And then now I feel something. This is my opinion. It's kind of like a circus because there's a lot of clowns out here that are thinking they know what's going on, but they haven't even smoked weed.
Well, I think, everybody's journey's different, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's experience is going to be different. And so I think what we experienced was a little more intimate because it was smaller. And so we got to know each other better. We got to have a little more sense of community. And as things grow and as they get bigger, the natural course is for chaos to kind of come in. You know what I mean? It just... but that being said, I still think that there's a lot of quality out there, a lot of quality people in this industry. 100%. I think there's a lot of good people. and you just have to find them. And honestly, time weeds out the bad ones. You know what I mean? Like if you're doing bad business with people, like that only lasts so long. You know what I mean?
And that says a lot about you for being here for 13 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
And still, with the booth and still changing and innovating the way we consume hash all these years later. And it's just great to see you just, stay passionate about it. I think that's a true thing is if you're passionate about something, if you have a real passion, then you're always going to be involved and always try to make it better.
Yeah. It's hard to keep passion up for 13 years. So it's ebbed and it's flowed. Certainly it hasn't always been, gung-ho. But it's hard to not be passionate about hash. Hash is just such a wonderful thing.
Passion for hashing. We're at Hall of Flowers, which is an amazing event. I know you've been a part of some cannabis events throughout the decade or so.
Absolutely.
We've been at an event where you were performing and I was hosting in LA.
Oh, the Secret Cup?
It was one.
It's the Secret Cup, correct?
Yeah,
did it get raided by the police?
Yeah. When
it got raided by the police, right?
Yeah.
And I still went on after.
Yeah.
No,
well, they just came in and did like a little walkthrough and then they left. And we continued. But that was like 13 years ago when it was real different than today.
Yeah. No, it was still sketch when they did a walkthrough because nobody invited them.
No, I think they got like a call from a hater.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So we were doing those events. You've done like 710 events.
Mm-hmm.
How has the evolution of these events seen, especially for the 710 community?
It's been awesome, man. It's been cool to see. It's been cool to see it grow. We started with like the EA Hash Bash in Denver, I think was the first 710 event that we had.
EA is Extract
Artist, Nicky T. Shout out Nicky T. Big D, Dan Desai. They threw that party on together. I had the honor of performing at it. I don't know if that was the one that I took like a gram dab before I went on and like just never again.
I remember Ninja Dabs too.
Dude, I felt so bad. I wanted to give them their money back for the show. That was terrible.
But everyone loved it. Everyone was on the same level as
Anyways. And then the next one I think was like the 710 Cup put on in Denver by Dougie and the Grassroots company, the hat company. And then it started going into I think Chalice, was the next ones after that.
Yeah, and then there were a bunch of cups that were happening all over the place.
Right, but honestly, it's not the best time to have an event like in the middle of summer and
in the desert.
Yeah,
in a parking lot.
Yeah, some of those were, and without the air conditioning in some of those tents, it basically got to like 120 degrees.
Yeah, and some of them that had air conditioning wasn't air conditioning.
Yeah, you guys are very spoiled here. You don't know what we had to suffer through.
Yeah. So has there been being dabbing and an innovator in the space? Were you like a first-time dabber for anybody? Did you give?
Yeah. No, nice question. Because I actually, I know some of you may know a friend of mine named Action Bronson.
Yeah.
I gave him his first dab when he came to Salt Lake City. We actually flew him out to do his first hip-hop show outside of New York.
Oh, really?
So we brought him to Utah to perform.
You changed his life.
I was performing with him. I opened for him, and then when he came backstage, I gave him a dab. And,
Titanium?
And off of Arnell. I have a video of it. And it ended up ruining his set, too, So
you did it before.
Before his set. He smokes a lot of weed, so he thought he could take it, but
which happens.
It was a brand new experience for him. So
how hot was the banger at that time?
1,000 degrees.
So we were.
It was a nail. It wasn't a banger. It was a nail.
It was a nail.
Yeah, let's be specific.
Oh, so the nail and bang. So a nail is basically what looks like a nail, and a banger is what, more of a gavel type of.
Well, so
let's
nail,
break it down.
because people use the term nail to cover all of those things.
Okay.
So it's kind of all encompassing because
Like
a banger is a nail, a control tower is a nail, titanium nail is a nail, in my opinion.
Okay.
They all fall under that umbrella. But if you want to get more specifically with the model names, a banger is going to be the bucket style, made out of quartz. That was made by Quave. The Quave Club Banger is the full name for the item, and Quave was one of the first, quartz originators in the space.
And you got the a Terp Tower. Is that it?
The Control Tower.
Control Tower. Or what's the other one? The Blender.
The blenders, those are from Black Market Glass. And then you've got the Terp Slurper, which came from JP Toro.
The Slurper.
The Slurper was a huge innovation. Yeah. And I got to give major props to Toro for the Terp Slurper because it changed the way that I take dabs. So, yeah, it inspired the Control Tower. Our Control Tower is our take on the Terp Slurper. But we've added, our SE, Surface Enhanced Quartz technology, which is a texture on the surface that enhances like the pool boiling process, which is like boiling with the nucleation. We have nucleation sites on the pillar, which if you're unfamiliar with what a nucleation site is, it helps facilitate the phase transition from like liquid to gas or from gas to a liquid, like something condensation is a form of nucleation. But anyway, so like if you were to take a Mentos and put it in a Diet Coke, and you know how it comes out, it's the nucleation sites on the Mentos that allows the carbon to escape from the Diet Coke. So it's the same kind of concept, but now applied to the hash, and you've got a heated pillar that's spinning within the oil, and it has an astound effect.
It changed it. And the airflow is crazy.
It's pretty nice. It's a pleasant experience. I mean, nether friends can tell you.
Yeah, their favorite. Man, there's like so much to talk about with you. I know we're on a limited time here because there's a lot of amazing speakers that are on this panel. I've said a lot. You've won a bunch of awards too before I get out here with your product.
At the American Glass Expo. Yeah, back in the day it was like 2012, 2013, 2014, all in a row, yeah.
And you're constantly doing R&D for better consumption?
That's the name of the game, yeah.
You don't think we're set, we're done, like we've done enough?
I think that there's still some innovations that can be made. I think that we're getting really close to plateauing on that in that regard, but with the e-rigs and the way that those are evolving as well, I think that it's just going to continue.
Just keep changing.
Yeah, it's going to keep changing. With hash too. You've seen how far hash has come. It starts with BHO, then it goes to the diamonds, then it goes to the rosin. Now we're at the hash rosin. The trends, they shift, they change, and there's still a lot to be learned. And as we learn more, things will change with it.
Task, it's been an honor doing this. Where can people find you? Where can people get your bangers, nails, towers?
You can find me just at TaskRock. That's without a C, TASKROK. Or if you wanted to go to our website, it's highlyeducatedti.com.
And you have stuff here at your booth right now?
Yeah, we're also set up over in the A Hall. If you want to come by, say what's up. I'd be happy to talk to you further if you have any questions.
Is there anything else you wanted to say? Any final thoughts? Anything about hash, highly educated? Like I said, you are a pioneer and a legend in the hash community. You've innovated the way people consume hash to this day, and you're still making it happen for everybody. No one would know what terps are without you.
No, you're lying.
Listen, bro, combustion. We were doing 1,000 degrees before the carb cap and all the low temp knowledge.
Listen, we would have gotten here without me. I was just I was lucky to be there.
Listen, Taz,
I was certainly lucky to be there.
See what I mean? How humble you listen. Yes, it would have been someone, but it's not someone. It's you. And you're the person that made it happen. So I just want to let you know I appreciate you
that.
For making it happen. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. TaskRock, highly educated. Check him out. It's been an honor. Again, my name is Adam Hill, the highest host. I'm in the Batch building with Crown OG and my OG. It's been a pleasure being here and an honor. Shout out to Holla Flowers, the sound guy, the camera guy, and all of y'all for being here. Y'all could be anywhere and y'all here with us, so I really do appreciate that. I guess there's another panel coming up, right? The Dopest YOLO one. What? So stay tuned or go walk around, smoke more weed. Appreciate all y'all. TaskRock again, y'all. Yeah.
Thank you.